Welcome back to English Podcast course. Today, we'll practice fun English conversations for.
I saw her at the cafe yesterday with this mountain of textbooks. It's like she's preparing to climb Everest, but with flashcards.
It's wild, isn't it? I remember when I tried cramming for a history midterm, I ended up reciting dates in my sleep. She's got that same look of total focus and slight panic.
That level of dedication is impressive, but I always wonder, does it actually help? Or do you just end up memorizing everything except what's on the test?
Honestly, I think it's a mix. Sometimes you get lucky and nail the exact questions you studied, but other times, your brain just latches onto random trivia instead of the main topics.
Speaking of stress, have you noticed how she taps her pen when she's nervous? It's like Morse code for send help.
That pen tapping is practically a soundtrack for exam week. I get the same jitters, my leg starts bouncing like I'm auditioning for a drumline. There's something about tests that just brings out everyone's quirks.
It's not just her, though. I think everyone has a personal ritual before a big test. Mine used to be eating a ridiculous amount of chocolate, which probably made things worse.
Chocolate as a coping mechanism? That explains a lot. I used to make these elaborate study playlists like somehow the right song would unlock the answers in my brain. Didn't really work, but it made me feel better.
What surprised me most is how everyone swears by a different method. She's all about color-coded notes and diagrams, while I barely manage a legible to-do list.
Color coding is her superpower, for sure. I once tried those sticky tabs, but after a while, my notes looked like a confetti explosion. Some folks need structure, others just need chaos and last-minute adrenaline.
That last-minute rush is its own level of stress. I've heard that spacing out your studying actually helps your memory. But when the test is tomorrow, all bets are off.
Spacing sounds ideal, but real life loves chaos. There's always that one friend who starts a month early and still panics. Maybe it's less about the method, more about the mindset.
The best part of studying is sometimes just the people around you. Study groups can turn a nightmare subject into something you can actually laugh about.
Absolutely. Some of my favorite memories come from late-night group sessions, half studying, half complaining, and let's not forget the snacks. I'm convinced chips and soda are the real fuel behind good grades.
That and inside jokes born from mutual exhaustion. There's something about collectively panicking over a tough chapter that actually makes it less terrifying.
Exactly, shared misery is strangely comforting. And sometimes someone comes up with a weird mnemonic or story that actually helps you remember the tough stuff. Honestly, it's teamwork at its finest.
Fast forward to test day, nothing like that nervous buzz in the hallway. Everyone clutching their notes like lifelines.
I always love that moment right before it starts, when someone tries to crack a joke just to break the tension. You can tell everyone's pretending to be cool, but inside, it's chaos.
And then the exam ends, and suddenly everyone's an instant detective, trying to figure out if they got number 5 right or if they totally misread the essay prompt.
The post-test analysis is brutal. I've seen friendships tested over who remembered which formula. But hey, once it's over, the relief is unbeatable, and you've definitely earned that victory pizza slice.
Nothing flips your night upside down quite like missing the last bus. Have you ever found yourself stuck at a bus stop way past your bedtime?
Oh, I definitely have. The worst part is the instant realization, like you're checking your phone, thinking you've got time, and suddenly those taillights are just fading into the distance.
Exactly. And then you're left there with that sinking feeling like, well, guess it's me in this empty street for a while. I always debate, do I call someone or just start walking?
It's always a toss-up. Once, I tried walking home, convinced it'd be this peaceful nighttime stroll. Spoiler alert, it lasted about 5 minutes before I called a ride.
Funny you say that missing the last bus never just means a late night. It can throw off your whole plan. Did you ever have to cancel something important because of it?
One time it nearly cost me a job interview. I missed the last bus after a late dinner, ended up frantically searching for a taxi, and got home at 2 a.m. I looked like a raccoon at that interview.
Oh no. That's the worst, trying to look sharp on zero sleep. I had a similar disaster with a family gathering. Missed the bus, and by the time I got home, everyone had already shared all the good stories.
That hurts. It's like missing out on both the ride and the fun. Makes you wonder why we don't just master teleportation already, right?
Speaking of coping, I've seen people get weirdly creative when they're stranded. Ever met someone who actually enjoys those unexpected detours?
I met a guy once who turned it into an impromptu photography session. He had this old camera and started snapping photos of streetlights and stray cats, ended up with some cool nighttime shots.
That's awesome. I usually just scroll on my phone, but maybe next time I'll try something more productive. I bet some folks even make new friends while waiting.
Absolutely. Those moments can bring strangers together too. I once shared snacks with a fellow stranded soul, and we ended up swapping wild travel stories for an hour.
What surprised me most is how missing a bus can swing your emotions around. First, there's frustration, but then sometimes it turns into laughter or even relief. Do you get that too?
Totally. At first, it's pure annoyance, but by the end, I'm either laughing at myself or just weirdly grateful for the pause. Last time, I found the best late-night diner just because I missed my ride.
That's the silver lining. I guess those random detours sometimes lead to the best stories. Plus, it's a reminder that not every plan needs to go perfectly to be memorable.
Couldn't agree more. Some of my favorite city memories started as transportation disasters. There's a kind of magic in the unexpected.
After all these adventures, I feel like we've earned some wisdom. Got any go-to tips for surviving a missed bus that don't involve teleportation?
Always have a backup ride app and keep a granola bar handy. Those two things have saved me more times than I can count. Oh, and maybe keep a playlist ready for impromptu solo dance breaks.
Love that. I'd add carry a portable charger. Nothing's more tragic than missing the bus and realizing your phone's about to die. At least with music and snacks, you can turn your misfortune into a mini adventure.
Honestly, with the right attitude, even a transportation fail can be a highlight. Worst case, you end up with a great story for the next time someone asks, "Ever missed the last bus?"
You ever notice how a phrase as simple as, "Can I sit here, please?" can totally change the vibe of a room? I mean, it's polite, sure, but it also sets the tone for everything that follows.
Totally. It's almost like hitting a social reset button, right? Suddenly, everyone pauses. It's not just about the seat, the whole dynamic shifts as soon as you ask.
That's what I love about it. It's so basic, but there's this tiny moment of suspense, like, are they gonna say yes, or is there some awkward reason you can't sit there?
Exactly, that microsecond of uncertainty can be weirdly intense, and sometimes you catch a glimpse of people's personalities in their reactions. Some folks just light up and scoot over, others seem startled, like you caught them off guard.
What cracks me up is how there are these invisible seat rules. Like, we all know not to plop down next to the only other person in an empty room, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's like social Jenga, you don't want to make the wrong move. There's always this mental math. How far should I sit? Too close, you're weird. Too far, you might seem standoffish.
And if there's a bag on the chair, now you're entering negotiation territory. Suddenly, it's a whole dance. Should I ask them to move it or just pretend I didn't see it?
I had that happen last week on the train. Someone had their backpack on the aisle seat, so I did the awkward hover. Eventually, I just blurted out, "Mind if I sit?" They looked up like I'd broken some secret code.
So true sometimes, though. That little question actually sparks a conversation. You ask to sit, and next thing you know, you're chatting about the weather or someone's book.
Isn't that wild? I once made a friend just because I needed a place to sit during a packed lecture. We bonded over a mutual love of terrible coffee and ended up working on a project together.
That's a win. It's kind of amazing how a simple request can open a door. Do you ever feel like those random connections are the best kind?
Honestly, yes. There's something about that spontaneity, no expectations, just two people sharing a moment. It sometimes feels more genuine than planned meetups, don't you think?
Of course, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes asking to sit brings out the awkwardness, like the time I asked in a crowded cafe and the person just ignored me. Brutal.
Oof, that's rough. I've had someone give me the slow head shake, no explanation, just silent rejection. It's like, what did I do? Was it my coffee order? My hat?
And then you're just left standing there, trying to act like you meant to check your phone or look out the window. I always wish I could vanish for a second.
The worst is when there's a whole row of empty seats and you still get denied. At that point, you start second-guessing everything, your outfit, your vibe, your entire existence for like 5 minutes.
But honestly, these little moments, awkward or not, are kind of the glue that holds daily life together. They're tiny reminders that we all have to negotiate space, literally and figuratively.
That's so true. There's a weird comfort in those simple asks like, even if you get rejected sometimes, at least you're out there engaging with the world. It's a tiny act of bravery, really.
Totally. And who knows? The next time you ask, "Can I sit here, please?" you might just end up with a good story, or at least a new perspective on chairs.
Or maybe just a slightly less awkward commute. Either way, it's one of those classic social rituals that keeps life interesting. So next time you see an empty seat, don't overthink it, just ask.
You know, whenever I get a message that says, "I'll be there soon," my brain auto-translates that to, "I haven't even left yet." Does that happen to you too?
Totally. The phrase is like the emoji of time estimates, super vague, a little too optimistic, and somehow always suspicious. My friends might as well say, "I just woke up."
It's almost like we can't help ourselves. I mean, instead of saying, "I'll be there in 20, we default to soon, as if that'll magically make us on time.
I think it's because soon is so forgiving. You buy yourself wiggle room. If you're stuck looking for your keys, soon still counts. Plus, no one can really argue with it.
And it's weirdly universal. I've heard it from my boss, my mom, even the delivery guy. It's like the unofficial code for "I'm running late, don't hate me."
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes I catch myself saying it on autopilot like, my intentions are noble, but reality? Not always matching up.
Funny you mentioned reality last week. My friend texted, "I'll be there soon," and then sent me a meme half an hour later. I started a countdown just for fun.
That's classic. I actually keep mental tabs on my friends' soon averages. Some people, soon means 5 minutes. Others, it's basically a weather forecast, totally unpredictable.
And it's not just lateness, right? Soon is like an all-purpose social excuse. You can use it for phone calls, emails, even finishing your taxes. "I'll do it soon."
Now I'm picturing an IRS agent tapping their foot because everyone's just texting, "I'll file soon." That'd be a nightmare.
But you know, once in a while, someone actually means it, like my aunt who shows up 5 minutes after she texts. That throws me off completely.
Yeah, those people are the unicorns of punctuality. Suddenly, you're still in your pajamas and your doorbell rings. Makes you rethink your whole trust system.
Honestly, nothing wakes you up faster than a guest who actually means soon. You go from couch sloth to Olympic sprinter in seconds.
Then there's the opposite, the people you know never to expect on time. So soon is just background noise. It's like your relationship has its own time zone.
So let's be real, do you think we'll ever stop using soon? Or is it too built into our DNA at this point?
Honestly, I can't imagine a world without it. It's the social WD-40 keeps things running, even if we're all running late. Maybe we just need to embrace it and maybe set better expectations.
Or just invent a new word that means I'm definitely, probably, maybe on my way. Until then, here's to soon, the most flexible word in the dictionary.
And hey, if anyone texts you, "I'll be there soon," just remember you're part of a centuries-old tradition of creative timing.
So, before we dive into today's main topic, I've got to ask, where on earth did you end up parking this morning? I swear, every time I try, it's like a live-action puzzle out there.
Honestly, it felt like the Hunger Games, but with minivans. I looped the block 3 times before just squeezing into a space that barely qualifies as legal. My side mirror might never recover.
Oh no, the dreaded mirror scrape. I've pulled that move too many times. Last week I got wedged between a giant pickup and what I'm pretty sure was a scooter from the 80 seconds.
I can picture it. Parking in this city is basically a contact sport. But you know, sometimes I think the stress of finding a spot is worse than the morning coffee rush.
That reminds me, have you ever noticed how spotting that one open space from across the lot feels like winning the lottery? Only to realize someone's parked a bicycle right in the middle of it.
Every single time! And then you get your hopes up, do that slow, hopeful creep towards it, and bam, just a rogue shopping cart or a motorcycle taking up the whole thing.
I've honestly started celebrating just finding a spot within like a half-mile of my destination. Forget about close parking, that's a myth at this point.
It's pretty much urban folklore, isn't it? The legendary free spot right at your building's front door. I think I saw it once, probably a mirage.
Speaking of mirages, have you tried any of those parking apps that claim to help you find open spaces? I downloaded one, but it kept directing me to the same overfilled garage.
I gave one a shot last month, but all it did was point me to lots that were full of cones and reserved signs. I'm convinced the tech is just trolling us at this point.
You know, the only thing those apps are good for is confirming that everyone else is just as lost. I once watched 4 cars circle the same lot, phones in hand, glaring at each other.
That's next level parking warfare right there. Maybe the real solution is just biking everywhere, or inventing a teleportation device.
Teleportation would solve so many problems. But until that's real, have you ever tried those creative parking hacks, like parallel parking with the windows down, so you can hear if you're too close?
Oh, I've mastered the art of twisting my arm like a contortionist just to see the curb. Once, I even called my friend to guide me in, only for both of us to realize I'd boxed myself in anyway.
That's dedication. I once left a note on my own dashboard just to remind myself not to park too close to the fire hydrant. Guess who still got the ticket?
No way! That's so unfair. Sometimes it feels like the universe conspires to make parking impossible, no matter how clever we get.
It really does. Imagine a world where you just glide into the perfect spot every time, stress-free. No circling, no anxiety, just smooth sailing.
I'd throw a parade. Maybe one day we'll have little robots that valet park every car instantly. Until then, I guess we'll keep swapping horror stories.
Deal. And hey, if anyone invents parking teleportation, I call first dibs.
You've got it. I'll settle for just not getting another ticket this month.
You know that feeling when you finally call someone back, and the first thing they say is, "Why didn't you call earlier?" It's almost like a universal guilt trip.
Oh, it totally is, and it doesn't matter if you were just in the shower or surviving a wild Monday at work. There's something almost accusatory about the question, like you've broken an unwritten social law.
It's wild how it instantly puts you on the defensive. Suddenly, you're explaining your entire day like, well, first my cat knocked over my coffee, then my boss called an emergency meeting.
Honestly, sometimes I want to just say, because I was busy living life. But then I chicken out and start oversharing all my mundane excuses.
That actually reminds me, why do we feel so guilty for not calling right away? It's not like we're ignoring people out of spite.
It's the pressure, isn't it? The second a notification pops up, there's this unspoken timer ticking down. If you don't respond fast enough, you're suddenly the villain in someone else's story.
Totally. And it's gotten way worse with smartphones. Back in the day, you could honestly say you missed a call because you were out, but now everyone assumes you've got your phone glued to your hand.
That's so true. Plus, those 3 little dots when you start typing and then stop just add a whole new layer of anxiety. Like, they saw me typing, now I have to answer.
Speaking of real life getting in the way, I've definitely let a call or two go just because I was, elbow deep in a messy kitchen disaster.
I get that. For me, it's usually because I'm knee-deep in laundry or I finally sat down with a bowl of popcorn and Netflix after a long day. Sometimes a call just has to wait.
Or you just need a little mental space, right? After a packed day, chatting on the phone can feel like running a marathon with your voice.
Exactly. And sometimes when I see the call, I make a mental note to respond. And then 3 hours later, I realize I never did. Oops.
Honestly, I've been there. And then you get hit with that dreaded, "Why didn't you call earlier?" And suddenly, you're back at square one. Funny you mentioned that moment of realization. Have you ever made up a wild excuse just to avoid admitting you spaced out?
Oh, all the time. I've blamed everything from imaginary traffic jams to spotty Wi-Fi. Honestly, sometimes the truth is just, I forgot. But that feels way too risky to admit.
It's like there's this unspoken rule that your excuse has to sound at least a little heroic or tragic. "My phone died during a tornado" always sounds better than "I was scrolling memes."
But wouldn't it be refreshing if people just said, "Hey, I totally blanked," and everyone was cool with it? Maybe we'd all feel less stressed out about returning calls.
After all this, do you think we should just normalize not calling back immediately? Like, make it okay to have a life off screen?
I really think we should. Life's hectic enough without that extra pressure. Maybe if we all agreed that "why didn't you call earlier?" isn't an accusation, but more like, "Hey, I missed you," it would lose its sting.
That would be a game changer. Imagine if instead people just said, "Glad you called," instead of launching into the guilt trip.
I'd love that. Let's make it a thing, no more interrogation. Just happy reunions over the phone whenever we get the chance.
Thanks you and see you next time.